class, in this video, I'm going to show you how to solve linear equations that contain fractions. In this video, I'm going to show you a total of 4 examples of how to solve linear equations that contain fractions, and you'll notice that as we go through each example, it becomes progressively more challenging and more difficult, but please understand that the same concepts and principles will still apply. Whenever you've got a linear equation that does contain a fraction, what you want to do is you want to convert all terms into a fraction. Remember that terms are separated by plus and minus signs. And what you want to do after that is you want to identify what is the lowest common denominator. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to convert everything to a fraction. So notice that these whole numbers can be rewritten as over 1. And now I'm going to find out what is the lowest common denominator. The lowest common denominator in this case over here is going to be 2. So in this case, I will therefore need to convert all the fractions so that have 2 as the denominator. So the way I'll do that is I'm going to multiply these two fractions by 2 and 2. And if I do that, this is what I'm going to get as an answer. Now, once we've actually done this, notice that the denominators for each of these 3 fractions are the same. So I can do a very neat trick. When the denominator is the same, all I can do is I can just kind of cancel or just simply ignore it. So I'm going to do something like this. Notice that I've just got rid of all the denominators. And now once it's in this particular format, it becomes relatively easy for me to solve it. So to solve for x, I just add 10 to both sides. Hence, x is therefore going to be equal to 16. I'm going to show you another alternative way for us to get to the exact same answer. So notice that in the first example or the first method I showed you, we kind of had to make sure that all terms were converted into a fraction. But what I could do first is I could actually move this -5 to the other side. So if I move the -5 to the other side, I'll do the opposite. So I'll add 5 to both sides. And so therefore my equation becomes x over 2 is going to be equal to 8. And in this instance over here, because x is being divided by 2, in order to solve for x, we just do the opposite of that. So the opposite of division is simply multiplication. So therefore that cancels each other out. And hence you're going to arrive to the exact same answer where x is going to be equal to 16. In this second example, I've got a fraction on the left-hand side of the equation and a whole number on the right-hand side of the equation. So what we're going to do in order to solve this is I need to ensure that all terms in the equation are expressed as a fraction. So 12 can be written as 12 over 1 as a fraction, and I've done that as you can see over here. You might have also realized that I've also expanded this in the exact same step, which is how I've got 3x minus 3. Now that you've actually expressed everything as a fraction, what I'll do now is I'm going to identify what is the lowest common denominator, and in this case over here, that's going to be equal to 4. So what I'll do is we'll multiply 12 over 1 by 4 over 4, and by doing so, I'm going to get this as an answer. And now that all the denominators are the same, I simply just ignore it and cancel it out like so. And so now therefore to solve for x, I'm going to therefore get rid of the -3 by adding 3 to both sides. So therefore 48 plus 3 is going to therefore equal to 51. 3x is equal to 51, so to get rid of the 3 coefficient, I'm going to divide in this case. So by dividing both sides by 3, I'm going to get an answer of x is therefore equal to 17. In the third example, this is going to be different from the other 2 examples because notice here, all the terms are already in the form of a fraction. So what I'll do now is I'm just going to identify what is your lowest common denominator. In this example, the lowest common denominator is going to be 6. So what I'll do is I will multiply this fraction over here by 2 over 2. And I'll multiply that fraction over there by 3 over 3. So if I do that, this is what my equation should now look like. So what I've done is I've multiplied 2 with that outside number over there. And in this case over here, I've just multiplied 3 by the entire thing. And we need to include brackets over here. So I've done that as such. Now that I've got the lowest common denominator, I can therefore cancel out the denominators like so. And now all I need to do is simply expand. Now that I've expanded successfully, I'm going to move all the x's to the left-hand side. So what I'll do is I'll subtract both sides by 9x to get rid of the 9x on the right-hand side. And so therefore 8x minus 9x is going to become -x. And so it becomes negative x minus 16 is equal to negative 3. To get rid of the negative 16, we'll do the opposite. So we'll add 16 to both sides. So now it becomes negative x is equal to 13. And to get rid of the negative sign in front of x, we'll simply divide both sides by negative 1. Hence, x is therefore going to be equal to negative 13. In the very last example, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to make sure that every term in this particular equation is converted into a fraction. So what I'll do first is I'm going to write that as a fraction, so that could be rewritten as 2 over 1. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to locate what is the lowest common denominator. So the lowest common denominator in this example over here is going to be 10. So what I'll do is I'm going to multiply this fraction over here by 5 over 5. I'll multiply this fraction over here by 2 over 2. And I'm going to multiply that fraction over here by 10 over 10. And notice that by doing this, all the denominator is going to have 10. So now that denominators are 10, I could just simply cancel them out and erase them as such. And now I'm going to solve for x by expanding it and collecting the like terms. So by expanding it, this is what your equation should now look like. And we can now simplify things. So 5x plus 2x is going to be equal to 7x. And negative 5 plus 4 is equal to negative 1. So it becomes 7x minus 1 equals to 20. To get rid of the negative 1, I'm going to add both sides by positive 1. So therefore, 7x is going to equal to 21. And to get rid of the coefficient 7, because 7 is being multiplied by x, I'll just divide both sides by 7. Hence, x is going to therefore be equal to 3. So those are all the examples that I need you guys to be familiar with. So what I recommend is I want you guys to please answer all these questions over here for additional practice. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully it helped you. I'll see you guys again in the next video. Bye.